What's going on, everybody? Back again with another video, and this time we are going to take a look at not so much these two pistols that are in front of me, but just going over the debate that I know all of us have been part of for as long as you've been a gun enthusiast or a gun owner, and that is, what is the best caliber for self-defense? What is the best caliber for home defense? Is my option to go with something that is more compact? Is it better to go something full size? Do I have to throw all these stupid accessories on them? So I just want to kind of give you guys a spoiler alert. All right. First of all, there is no right answer. And anybody that tells you that they have the answer for you and everybody else does not know their head from their ass. All right. Because it comes down to which one of the calibers, which one of the gun sizes, which one of the guns that are out there, and there are God knows how many options, are you most confident with if and when the time comes to have to pull that trigger? And that's really as simple as it gets. So for me, I'd probably rather have a 9. And I'll go over why in a second. But that's just me. That's not to say that this Glock 30 and a 45 caliber that's small, concealable, very accurate, and very easy to use isn't a better option. But again, it comes down to what you feel strongest about. Are you going to need something that is a larger, heavier caliber because you feel like something that is smaller is just not going to be efficient enough? That might be the case. Do you not trust yourself with a larger caliber because you just don't shoot as well with them? That could be the case. All I can really tell you definitively is that if you don't go hit the range on a regular basis and you don't train with any one of the pistols that you consider to be your home defense weapons, you're doing yourself a great injustice, and you are likely putting yourself at risk, because ultimately that's really what it comes down to. Confidence and capability is going to come down to how well you are trained with your weapon. You could be trained well with a 22 and be way deadlier with a 22 than with a 50 Action Express out of a Desert Eagle. It all depends on how well you are trained and comfortable. So taking a look at two different guns, so the FN 509 tactical, the Glock 30, obviously very, very different pistols. One of them is more concealable. One of them's a full-size pistol. One of them's a 45 ACP. The other one's a 9. This one's got a capacity of 10 plus 1. This one's got a capacity of 24 plus 1. This one doesn't have a lot of space for accessories and whatnot. This one, you can throw all kinds of shit on it. So really, you couldn't pick two more different guns. So I just wanted to basically say that both of these are two of my favorite pistols. And again, that's not because they are better made than a Taurus that's out there. That's not, although they likely are. But anyways, it's not because they are in the calibers that they're in. It's not because of the manufacturers that make them. It's got nothing to do with that. All right. If there was a cover blocking the Glocks, which, by the way, I haven't been really a big fan of Glock, just in terms of aesthetically, they're probably the most ugly guns out there. However, I'm a huge fan of the predictability, reliability, and consistency that you get with Glock. So I'm a huge fan of Glock just for that reason. FN, huge fan of the company. I love just about all of the guns that they make. However, you cover that up, and if this says Walther under it, if it says Taurus or Sig or whatever it is, I would love it just for the feature set and for the way that it feels when I shoot it. So here's what it comes down to. For me, personally, I like the recoil impulse of a 9 better because I feel that I can take follow-up shots a lot quicker. It's something that, if God forbid I did need to pull this out at night, my wife could also pull this out and shoot it comfortably, shoot it accurately. It's got the accessories that I would need if it was sometime in the night. You can just have that flashlight on real quick. It's just got little paddles here on the Enforce, and that's it. It's practical for me. It's not as loud. It doesn't have as much pop as the Glock 30 does. It's going to be something that if you fire it indoors, you are likely not going to get enough penetration to worry about your neighbors and whatnot. It's got 24 rounds in the magazine plus 1 in the chamber, which means that even if you shot and missed, you've got a lot more shots that you can shoot and miss in a tense and very, very complex or threatening situation where you don't really have time to think, you're just reacting. If you reacted and you made mistakes, you can make a lot more mistakes with this than you can with this. Okay. Now, that's not to say that this does not have its own purpose. So carrying this is a lot easier than carrying that, even though this is a very big and bulky carry pistol. It's still got a very small profile. So being able to carry this in a 45, a man-stopping round, with still a very large capacity in its small frame. I mean, this has got 10 45 ACP rounds in its magazine plus 1 in the chamber. So that's no joke either. And the Glock 30, I don't know what it is. Okay, so when I go to the range and I shoot this thing, just with the stock sights, nothing crazy, right? These have the tritium night sights on there. However, even if I had the old U notch sights, I would be perfectly accurate with this. I have been perfectly accurate with this. I shoot it comfortably. I could predict the trigger. The trigger is nothing to write home about on either one of these guns. And that's a whole other debate for another day regarding the obsession with triggers and what constitutes a nice trigger. I'll put it very simply in just my own opinion. What constitutes a good trigger for me is being able to predict exactly when it's going to go off and knowing exactly how far I have to reach for that reset. That's it. So it could be a shitty trigger, but if it's consistently shitty and I know exactly where it's going to break, it makes it more practical for me. It makes it to where I feel safe pointing that muzzle in the direction of a threat and knowing that unless I want it to shoot, it's not going to shoot. So that to me is what constitutes a good trigger. It's not a competition trigger by any stretch of the imagination. And to those of you that do competition shooting, I totally get it. I'd much rather have a competition trigger so I can get quicker shots. It feels like $1 million when you're pulling on a nice light, crisp trigger that has zero movement and it's just it's awesome. All right, I get that feeling. For self-defense, however, I don't want that shit on my gun. All right, and I would highly recommend that anybody that has any type of self-defense pistol, like if its reason of existence is to be what you protect yourself with, I would say do not put any type of crazy trigger on there. If you've got a really shitty trigger that it comes with and you want to upgrade it to something that is still considered a defensive trigger or a trigger that is a battle trigger, by all means, they've got some good ones out there that are not super light, that are not super crisp, but they are a lot better than the stock trigger options that they've got on these pistols. So yeah, I definitely understand that. However, again, I think that there's an obsession regarding triggers. And it's an obsession that I think most people just kind of misconstrue because they're not really looking objectively at the purpose of the gun being what constitutes the need of a trigger, or a rework trigger, if that makes sense. So basically, if your gun is meant specifically just to go to the range and fire off some very accurate target shooting, and that's what your purpose of the gun is, so it's more of a competition pistol for target shooting, then yeah, I can totally understand the purpose of going out and getting a nice trigger. But if your purpose for the gun is it's going to save your life, then no, I would say it's probably dangerous putting a competition type trigger on them. But in either case, again, what constitutes a good trigger? Predictability. That's it. And it's obviously my opinion. I don't want to state that as fact. However, I guarantee that any of you that have been to the range, that have that one gun in your collection that you know it's like Old Faithful, you know you can trust it. Why is that? Why do you know that you can trust that gun? Obviously, reliability is something that we all look for. And if we know that when we pull that trigger, it's going to fire every single time, that's a huge, huge benefit. And both of these guns, as far as I'm concerned, they've done that for me. So the reliability box is checked for sure. Practicality is in the eye of the beholder, and it really depends on your living situation. If you're using it for self-defense and you're living in an apartment, you might want a round that's a little bit slower moving because you don't want penetration, over penetration, I should say, because you can likely, shoot through a wall, hit a neighbor or an innocent bystander, and those are things that you have to take into consideration. For other people that live maybe in a more rural area, maybe you have a wide open space. You are going to need every bit of, that impact to make a difference on your target, because you may not get the opportunity for a follow-up shot. Maybe a bigger caliber is right for you, right? It all depends on, again, looking through your specific situation and trying to really hammer home all of the necessary things that you've got to think about if you're ever going to fire your gun within your household. I don't know if you've ever tried, but I promise you, this is something that, it's going to really change your perception if you haven't done this before. Next time you go to the range and you're shooting a pistol, make sure that you take one of your earmuffs off, right? And just kind of see how loud that thing really is indoors, just to get an idea of what it would feel like shooting this thing inside your home, right? God forbid anybody needed to, but it kind of puts things in perspective. And what I mean by that is that everybody kind of looks at these different calibers that are coming out. There's like, the FN57, it's a rifle round. It's really loud. And people start talking about the stupidest things when it comes to whether or not that it constitutes a better self-defense option. It's like, to me, it's like, okay, the first question would be, where are you shooting this? Is it outside? Are you carrying this gun? Or is this going to be shot indoors? I would never want that fucking thing indoors because, again, it's too damn loud. You would deafen yourself and cause more damage to yourself likely than the person that's the intruder. So these are all things to take into consideration. I'm not really going to give you a full review on these guns, except to say that I cannot recommend these two guns enough. This 509, people give it shit about the trigger. I'm telling you, the trigger is, to me, just the same as a Glock. It's predictable. It's a little sloppy. However, it's fairly crisp when it does break, and it's got a pretty decent reset. It's not going to, win any awards. And as you shoot this, more often, it's going to break it in a little bit, make it a little bit smoother. But outside of that, it's a reliable pistol. It's got the craziest capacity of any 9mm that I know of, anyways. It comes with 3 of these mags out of the box, plus 1 flush mag if you wanted to carry this thing. And the flush mag is still holding basically, what was it, 17 or 19? I can't remember, but either way, it's a very high number. Cut for an RMR. It feels great in the hand. I love the grips. It's an awesome, awesome, awesome pistol. Super, super accurate as well. Especially with that RMR, it's cheap. It's kind of like cheating. And with the Glock 30, again, this thing will run forever. It is the type of gun that you can see generationally sticking around, because it's just proven. This thing just runs. It runs. It's a tack driver, and it's not very extravagant, but again, very reliable, very predictable trigger. It has a really large capacity given its small size. You could still fit a flashlight. You could still fit a laser on there if you wanted some accessories to go along with it. There are tons of accessories that you can get for these Glocks, including triggers, and including oversized control buttons and whatnot. There's all kinds of crap you can do to a Glock. So, value for the money, it's just incredible. It's unbeatable. Glock is unbeatable when it comes to, just kind of the best bang for the buck. But again, 9mm versus 45, which one's the best? I'm going to tell you, I don't know what the hell the best one is. Nobody will know that except for you. And the only way you're going to know that is by going to the range and shooting all these different calibers and shooting all these different pistols and finding that one that you end up married to. Okay. And once you do, again, once you have that confidence that you know that no matter the circumstances, you can pull that gun out and you can fire it, and you could fire it several times, follow-up shots and whatnot, in a quick and accurate manner, that's when you know that you found yourself the right gun. And I don't care what it is. It could be a Desert Eagle, to each their own. You need to be able to answer those questions for yourself before you go and search for answers from other people that are just giving you their opinions. So again, my opinion is there is no right answer. Anybody that tells you that they have the answer is lying to you. Okay. And ultimately, it just takes a lot of time at the range and practicing to understand which caliber, which size of whatever type of pistol you're out there looking at is going to be the best fit for you. So, hope that makes sense to everybody. I will be back with another video that's going to be another hot debate on PDWs and whether it's better to go with a pistol caliber versus a rifle caliber. So we'll talk about that soon. But feel free to ask any questions or make your comments. And hopefully everybody can kind of understand my mindset on this and understand that I'm not trying to judge. I'm just giving an opinion, and my opinion is that everybody's going to have their own opinion, and they could be perfectly right. So to each their own, but I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.